Hello, everyone, and welcome back to All Around the World Eaters, a show from the Red Path Network. I am your host, Dara, and today we are going to be taking a trip to the beautiful France to speak with none other than Studio Guri Yael, creator of Assgron and painter extraordinaire. So grab yourselves a brew. This is going to be a fantastic episode. Let's dive in. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to All Around the World Eaters. I am joined today by Studio Guri, Yale, known person amongst the Red Pat Discord and the internet in general, quite a famous member of the Red Pat Discord, one of the notable few who has had an emoji named after them with the wonderful Assgron. So, Studio Guri, Yale, is a fantastic miniature painter. I'm going to just come straight out and say it. Brilliant, talented individual who creates wonderful world leaders. You can see some of his fantastic work behind him on those shelves. Has been to no retreat with various different armies, I think, and is just all around a very talented individual. So I thought we would get Studio Guri here on the show today to speak a little bit about hobbying, which is something that we haven't really touched on in the show so far, but now today we will be talking about that. So, Yale, Studio Guri, why don't you introduce yourself, say hello to everyone, and take it away?
First of all, too much praises. I like it, but whew, high standard. Hello. My name is Yael. I'm a French freelance painter, and world eater is just my life. This is I've been to quite a few events, including no retreat, just the world eater though. And I won't say I'm famous, but Asgon. Assgron. We all know it. It's my baby boy. Yeah,
There he is. Show us, yes.
the most important part.
The most important piece. The most important piece. It looks even better in motion picture.
Yes, we can the 3D. Mm. So yeah, I don't know what to say more. I'm just a painter. I like world editors and there's nothing more to say.
Indeed, nothing more. So that's a brilliant intro. Lovely to see Ascaron so early in the show. But yeah,
We
so
had to.
yeah, of course, it's the calling card, the signature. Yeah, so I wanted to talk to Yale today about a bunch of different things when it comes to painting world leaders and painting Warhammer in general. So we will talk about a lot of different things today on the show, and speak maybe a little bit more about Angron later on. But to start off, so how this is going to go, if you're listening to this on Spotify, might be better to watch this one on YouTube. There's going to be a lot of images of Yale's work coming up as we go on through the show. So to get the best experience, I would suggest watching the video. But Yale, when it comes to painting miniatures in general, what is your style, your inspiration? What is it that makes your miniatures your own, if this makes sense?
So I started like I think everyone else with Games Workshop style, really clean, uh, edge highlight, listening to various YouTubers, Games Workshop YouTubers like Pitch, uh, Darren Latam, and so much more. And so the style evolved thanks to my work. I started painting at the same time as I started commission painting. And so I had to paint whatever came my way. And so different style. But one day I felt like I was stuck. The painting goes like, yeah, and then you're just stuck for how many years,
Yeah, the
months.
plateau where you just level out and
That's
it's
it.
hard to improve. Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I just finished an ultramarine army, and I didn't know where to go. And I saw a video on the Grimdark Compendium. It's a famous Grimdark YouTube channel, and the guy started the video with buy some streaking grime. Okay, so I tried to buy some streaking grime, but I was so excited to start my Grimdark journey that I just started with acrylics. And then the love for grimdarks and just gritty and realistic paint jobs just came here. Um, and yeah, the now it's the style that I love playing with the most. But obviously, um, I still paint all different style for my work.
Okay, that's awesome. I think that's like a very interesting story, probably similar to quite a lot of people, especially with finding Grimdark Compendium and the magic of streaking grime, which is a story I think a lot of us can share. Um, so, when it comes to painting in the Grimdark style, what are your favorite armies to actually paint outside of just World Eaters? You know, you have some more as well. Is it always World Eaters, or do you prefer something different sometimes?
I so the World Eaters is just a really tiny bits of what I paint. I almost never spend time on my own miniatures because of, well, work. And so the I just paint Space Marine every time, all the day, every month. It's Space Marine. It can be
I know the
quite
feeling. It can be
tiring.
tiring, yeah.
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 And so my favorite armies to paint are actually Age of Sigmar. I
Okay, that's
dislike the game
interesting. That's
and
interesting.
the setup. I'm not a fan of the game and the lore, but the minis are so different compared to 40k and Eldars, Space Marine, and Space Marines
Yep, yep.
that it's really refreshing to paint some skin, some muscles. Recently, I painted some Nurgle uh, mm, Nurgle stuff.
Yeah, the
I don't know the
Maggotkin, I think
name.
they're called or
Yeah, the
something.
Magotkin,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
The big guy with their armor and lots of skin.
Mm.
It was so interesting to paint, and yeah, it was my favorite army to work on. Uh, I think these last few months.
So that's really interesting because I always thought that the Age of Sigma range and Grimdark are two things that are kind of hard to put together, you know?
That's why it's fun.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
The Games Workshop style is not to my taste,
Yep.
and Age of Sigmar is a bit too flashy, let's say in kind words. And so trying to go for a grim dark aesthetic on these different ranges is really interesting. I've recently painted uh, Flesh Eater Court and the Vampire Count. I don't know the name, but I recently painted the Vampire Army for my best friend, and it goes so well with the Grimdark.
Yeah,
Just
those the new
not
miniatures for the vampires are I have painted some as
yes,
well. They are incredible. Yeah, really nice.
yes, and they serve as really good conversion bits also. But
Yes, yeah.
the last box, um, which was the dungeon, the Warhammer dungeon
Oh, the
thing.
underworlds. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know the one.
Not in the world, you know, the one
Oh, the war
who
crime.
sold really fast and then nothing from
Yeah,
Games Workshop.
yeah,
You know the one.
yeah. I do.
And so
Yes.
I've painted this one for my friend, and it was such a blast to paint. Not
Nice.
really with not for with streaking grime, but uh, Null Oil, Agrax, lots of different shades and colors to make them pop in the reverse way,
Yeah, I get
to
what you
make
mean.
them unpop.
Yes, yeah, lots of muted tones, I guess, but interesting combinations of color is kind of what I found with the vampires too.
The thing to my opinion, the thing to paint good grim dark with acrylic is to play with the color. For example, the vampire counts have a they have lots of red and armor, and so when you want to make the red pop but still make it dark, I found that dark sea blue uh, goes really well in the recesses, and it adds a lot of um, hmm, I don't know the word, um, when it's subtle taint. English is hard.
I know what you
I
mean though.
hope you understand.
It's a soft transition, and there is some contrast there as well in the recess, right?
Yes.
Mm, yeah, no, for sure. It's a really nice way of coming across because I think when you try to do Grimdark on Age of Sigmar and Vampire miniatures, you can't use the same techniques as with 40k. You can't use rust. There's no streaking grime. There's no weathering. You know, it's a very different experience. I found to try and make these miniatures in a dark atmosphere without using the things that you're necessarily used to using. Right?
Yes, you don't want to have. You could have space vampires, but it's not the same universe, and so the end result has to be different.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm also coming from a mindset that whenever I try a new project, everything must be different.
Okay,
Like the
that's
painting
interesting.
style,
Yeah.
the base, the how you use your tools. Some projects will have lots of airbrush, and some won't have any airbrush at all. And this way, you can always learn new thing and spice things up.
Okay, also that's actually a really good transition into the next question I was going to ask you because I feel like that might be a little bit of the answer. So when you feel that plateau when you're painting, when it you're improving, and then things start to level, and you have to think, how am I going to get better? What are the ways that you improve your painting for people who are listening at home that maybe are stuck in the same place, that they're not getting better? How do you go about improving your skills when it comes to painting?
The wrong answer is paint more.
Yeah.
The right answer is different for everyone. So as I have lots of commission and lots of different project to do, I must always um, be better than what I was before. So I don't if I don't know non-metallic metal and a client asks me to do, I will have to paint non-metallic metal. I
Yeah.
don't have a choice if I want to get paid.
I had this problem as well. Well, it's a good problem, right? Because this is
Yeah,
what it forces you to improve almost.
it gives you more tools to play with. Um, these are just various examples, but one thing that happened to me is a French role-playing game company contacted me to paint some cartoon miniatures. And I had less than 6 days to paint 7 miniatures in a style that I didn't know. So the first 2 days were spent trying to learn the style, and it was hard, really hard. But because of the deadline and I want to pay my rent thing, the you have to learn. You have no choice to learn, and so yeah, I managed to paint all the miniatures. They were happy. And so now that I have this tool, whenever someone asks me to paint anything in cartoon, yeah, no problem. I have the this specific arrow
You can switch it back
for
on.
yeah,
Nice.
and so and it works with everything. If you want to learn specific styles or paint job like Candy, Thousand Sun, or Pre-Heresy Thousand Sun, they are in the Candy Red style.
Yeah.
The I'd say the best way to get out of your plateau thing is, okay, I'm gonna learn a radical and different thing than I'm used to. And also, I'd say don't be perfectionist.
Yes, this is very important, I think.
This is the first mistake of any painter is it's not good enough. I'm gonna work on it 3 to 4 more hours to be good enough, but it's never gonna be good enough. The simple solution is to be happy of what you have, and okay, I'm done with this project. I can now work on another project, and the project A, number one, you spent your time on, is gonna be an amazing foundation for the next ones. If I try learning non-metallic metal on the project number one, it's not going to be perfect because it's the first time I'm trying to learn non-metallic metal. If I need to work on non-metallic metal in the project number 6, for example, I'm going to have the foundation of the project number one. So now that it's easier for me, I can improve my work on this new project and learn a new thing, etc.
Yeah, I think that it's two really important things that whenever people ask me the same thing, how do I improve? How do I get better? I pretty much tell them the exact same two things, try new techniques that you have not tried before, and don't worry about things being perfect because they never will be. Um, for example, I was really happy with how my world leaders looked 1 year ago. But if I finish a world leader now, it will look better. So even though back then I was happy, now I am happier. So it's always going to continue to improve, right? It will never be the best. It is never going to be the moment where you say, okay, I will never paint a better world leader than this, I think. But I had a very similar experience when I was painting commissions that, people were saying, I want you to do OSL, I want you to do Grimdark, I want you to do this. And I didn't know how to do any of these things. So when you're forced to learn in these situations, especially if there is a time budget, like you said, you have 6 days that you have to learn, it can be really, really useful for actually improving. But I think the problem that a lot of people have is that they don't have this situation where they're forced to learn a new technique. They're comfortable doing the same thing that they always do, and they don't necessarily feel a need to branch out because if you start to learn a new technique, like you say, you're not going to be good at it straight away, so it can be discouraging, and people will sometimes go back to what they used to be good at. But to improve like this, I think, is really the best way. So when it comes to like actually learning a new technique, do you have any specific method, or is it kind of different each time? Like, do you like to use YouTube videos? I know you mentioned the Grimdark Compendium. Is it always through watching other people, or do sometimes like you have different methods for this?
So first, to motivate some people who don't do commission, like you said, I feel like a great incentive is to participate to tournaments. It feels dumb, but tournaments is just a word to say meeting. Oh, you're meeting with other people, and there you play. It's cool. You have a good time. but you have to paint your army in a deadline. And the great way to do that, to improve, even if you don't do commission, is to participate to a lot of events. The no retreat, the army I prepared for the no retreat last year, I received a message from the Stephen Pardo, the organizer, and he's telling me, "I like your world eaters. Can you apply, please?" And I had 2 miniatures painted, and I needed 5 pictures. And so I was on vacation when I received the message. 3 days left. Cool. So I'm gonna paint an army
No
in
pressure.
3 days. And it needs to be good enough to go to the retreat. And okay, so this is a good incentive to even if it's not a commission, to push yourself even further. For example, here, still for the no retreat, I have less than 10 days now to to prepare an entire world ultramarine army. It needs to be good. I
It's
didn't
gonna
start
be
it yet.
challenging.
Yes. So yeah, to motivate you to paint events, it's great.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
people are fun.
Yeah.
And for the second question, I don't do YouTube because I like surprise.
Okay, that's interesting. Tell me more.
So, you know, when your friend is pitching you a movie, oh, we should go to see Super Mario Bros. Cool. Don't tell me anything about it. I want to discover everything by myself. So when I clicked on the Green Dark Companion video, buy Green Dark. Okay, I stopped the video. Now, what I'm going to do is try my own way of Green Dark. And I had a few conversions hanging around. So I pick one. And so since I didn't have a streaking grime, I just tried with painting, standard painting, acrylics. And the result is far better than I thought. And because I didn't watch the video, I don't know what to do. But it's so fun to be challenged and have a you have to paint well, I think first. But it's really cool to have your own mini without comparing it to the video.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
If I watch some Darren Latam video on how to make non-metallic metal, I'm just gonna be depressed. I don't want to be depressed.
Yeah.
So I see his non-metallic metal gold. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna try to do my own. But it requires to have some basic understanding of painting.
Yeah,
It's
basic
not
art concepts, right?
Yes, it's not the way to do for a beginner.
Yeah.
But it's just more fun to not watch anything and just try it your own way.
Yeah.
You're not spoiled.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually. You know, I never heard of this approach before, but now that you say it, I'm kind of tempted to try it as well myself, you know. That sounds like a lot of fun just to explore and see what happens, you know.
But the video inspired me to try this concept, to try tricking grime, even though I don't know how to use it. I want to try it.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know how to paint non-metallic metal gold, I still want to try it. They are an inspiration, but just on the base surface level.
Yeah, it's very surface level. Like you see something like, "Oh, that's interesting," but then you want to make it your thing, right?
Exactly.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think that's why it works, and that's why not my content works, but people like what I paint, and it's a bit different. Like with Angron, oh, just I'm gonna do my own thing, and it's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people will see as the video is going on all the examples of your fantastic work, and it does have a unique aesthetic to it. I look at it and straight away, if your name is not next to the picture, I know that it is your work, because I remember when you first spoke in the Red Pat Discord, I immediately was like, wait, I recognize your work. I've seen it so many places. This is awesome. It's great to finally speak to you and stuff. But it's not just another, world eater in the 30k scheme. It's quite a recognizable style, I think. But yeah, it's really awesome, and it's cool to hear how you develop that style as well. So I think we'll wrap up the first half of the video around here. When we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit more about Angron, really, and how that project began, how it went, and how it's finally ended. So tune in for the second half, folks. That's going to be coming up soon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part two of All Around the World Eaters. I am joined once again by Yael Studio Guri, who is now got a chain axe, which is awesome. What's the
Vroom
story
vroom.
behind the chain axe?
Uh, it's really basic. I had I have a client. I have to paint an entire chapter for him, and he wanted me to paint a chainsaw and a bolter. He exchanged it for a chain axe. So I have a chain axe now.
That's a good trade.
It's a really good trade.
Yeah, I think so.
Really.
Awesome. So, we're going to talk a little bit more about Yale's actual personal projects and projects that he's very proud of in the second half here. And obviously, the project that everyone wants to hear about is Angron because it was a very public project. There was a lot of work in progress on Instagram, on Discord, everywhere. There was lots of people really excited about it. And it was a huge project. It took you 2 months, 2.5 months to complete.
To finish it, yes, because it was too public, I'd say.
Yeah.
Um, I shared too much, and I was excited. I was too excited to share with the world, and so yeah, I had a hobby burnout.
It can
But
happen though if you
2 months after, it's done.
yeah, if you have too much exposure to a project as you're doing it, sometimes it can be very intimidating to actually finish it, or to continue working on it because you can, for me anyway, I'm almost scared sometimes to do these projects because if I mess it up, it's going to be like, oh, everyone knows that I messed it up. So that's why I normally now keep my projects very, very secret until they're finally completed. Unless I'm painting on stream, then I have no choice. But Yale, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the Angron project? Because it's a fantastic piece, It came out
Uh,
brilliantly. I was a huge fan. And I really enjoyed following along as you did update us. Like Assgron is a legend at this point, Everyone loves it so much. So I suppose let's start in the very beginning why you decided to not use the Angron miniature and why you decided to make your own and then go from there.
so um, the when the Angron miniature was revealed, I was just let down because I have a particular image of what Angron is supposed to look like. Because I'm a massive fan of the horror series novels, uh, as you can see up there. Um, and so when the miniature was revealed, it felt more like Jim Bro Angron than the predator, the vicious beast I envisioned. in the novels. Yeah, the especially the pose, like he's supposed to be the embodiment of wrath, and his pose when the model was revealed, and it was a potato cam. It was a leak at first, so you're not hyped. You're just oh, it's Angron, and eh.
Especially
The
being
quality.
the potato cam first, because you don't really know what you're looking at, and
Yeah,
the whole reveal, I think, was just not maybe as good as it could have been.
it could be a segue on how leaking a picture is bad.
It could be, but to be honest, I agree. It can take a lot of the excitement out, especially for someone who enjoys the miniature themselves, and someone who enjoys painting. I think seeing a blurry picture first, or maybe not the best angle, can sometimes take a lot of the excitement out of a miniature's release, right?
Yeah, and so when we discovered the official release, there were a lot of stuff that I wasn't a fan of. Uh, the pose, all the muscles, because he doesn't really need muscle to because he's a warp entity.
Yeah, yeah,
For the wings, they're a bit too much. The spikes and the cow stuff. I know it's 40k. It's a Angron in 40k, but I wanted Angron in 30k.
I know. I have a similar problem, I think, with the miniature. I think I like the miniature a little bit more than you do, but I have a lot of the same problems. The over exaggeration of the muscles, the wings especially, I have a big problem with.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's a lot of problems that I can agree with here.
Also, I'm French, so we complain a lot. It's just how it is.
You're not the only one. I think people from Europe complain a lot in general, because the Irish, we are the same. We complain a lot about everything, right? So
It
complaining
feels
is
good.
part of the personality. It feels you let it out.
Yes,
It's a form of expression.
exactly. And yeah, a couple of things was the face felt more like the
So
Godfather to
this
me.
this is my biggest problem with the miniature is the face.
Like
It's like, yeah,
it's when you see John Blanche artwork,
yep.
it's it's a cool shape like this.
It's a
And
jaw, it's
yeah,
yeah.
what we got was this kind of
Well,
show.
you were talking about Super Mario Bros earlier. You know the brick in Mario with the face that lands on top of you and
Yes,
kind of comes down. That's what it reminded me of when I saw it.
and the head felt also a bit tiny compared to the rest of the body. And finally, uh, not my biggest problem, but the biggest why is the tail. So lots of people will say, "Oh, Angron just look like a Bloodsucker because Khorne is simple, and be, because the Khorne is simple, everything is on the same page." Okay, cool. Why does he have a tail? No Bloodthirster. They all has they all have their small little piggy tail, and he's having a big lizard tail. I don't know why. It just feels weird. It just
Yeah,
feels
it
weird.
was weird. Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. It's strange to see it. Because
It's
I
not
don't
that
think there's any
it's
mention
bad.
of Angron having a tail in the lore, right? I don't
No,
think so.
no. That's why I was a bit taken aback. It's not, the tail is fine, but yeah, it's not what I had in mind. So it has to go. And yeah, so the process of converting the miniature took a few, I'd say, weeks before we get the miniature, because you need a plan to release the pictures as the everyone in the social medias uh, paint their own. The
Yes.
objective was uh, to surf on the vibe. It's not.
it feels fake, but it's the best way to grow.
Yeah, when you are a painter and a lot of your painting is displayed through Instagram, as is the case for you and me, you have to understand how to use the platform, you know. Um, and sometimes it does feel fake, but it's just what you have to do, right?
Yeah, and since it's the only big minis, a big miniature, I'm going to uh, uh, I'm going to uh, let me think a bit. It's the only mini you want to share like that as a World Eater player.
It's
I
the
don't care
main, it's
about
the
Lionel
centerpiece, right?
Johnson or
Yeah.
the new Gilliman, whatever. I
Hmm.
won't. I don't want to buy them and paint them in the weekend, then release them. It's not the kind of painter I am. I am a World Eater player. So Angron is the perfect choice to do that. And so yeah, I took week. It took weeks to plan how I'm gonna change the wings. Oh yeah, so we need to find wings replacement. So roaming the internet and STL files to search the perfect wings.
It's a big
How
job.
you yeah how to change the jaw, how to pose the miniature. You have to think about all these things a few weeks prior to get the miniature. So when you get it, you're ready.
You have a plan, yeah.
Yes. And so I started with the pose. First, the biggest work is in the legs. You have to chop things up. The torso, I cut the torso in half to make it more like is straight to the the painter and like facing forward because the original mini is really bent towards the ground. The torso is bent towards the ground, and it's weird because the his armor reflects the old 30k armor, but it's completely hidden. So remove the chain, up the torso a bit, remove the chains around the arms to make it more visible. I wanted to be the mini to be more open.
Yeah, because he is a very closed pose as he is right now. And I
Yeah,
think, like you say, it's almost a shame that this chest piece, which represents 30k so well, is lost on the miniature because there's so many things in front of and around it that it's quite difficult to see.
there is also a bit too much details in my opinion. So it, I'm just talking about the process too
Yeah, it's
and how
fantastic.
I
I
go.
love to hear it. It's I think a lot of people want to hear all these thoughts, you know.
And so yeah, the once the main pose is done, removing all the chaos bits and the pointy stuff and the stars and the skulls, uh, because when you play an army, there is a theme. And my army is themed around the siege of Terra, the siege of Terra. I cannot have an Angron with uh, 10 corn symbols and a massive amount of skulls and pointy shard on the mini because
It wouldn't
he
fit the
didn't,
theme, right?
he wouldn't fit the team, even even if in the lore he has those things, my army doesn't, and so I don't want him to be out of place.
Makes a lot
It's
of
the world
sense.
eaters, and so if Angron itself is feeling out of place in his own army that he lead, it's weird.
Yeah, it doesn't like you want it to suit everything that you've already done. And like you say, maybe he has some of these things in the lore, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't have to be an exact representation. It just has to suit your army. And I think this is a very important point. And, you know, having seen the finished product, I do think it really does suit the overall aesthetic that your army has. So I definitely think it worked.
For the just a little segue for the painting. I didn't use any extra step to make it more because
Okay.
it's everything must be at the same level for me. The no hero is gonna be better painted uh, than a tactical mind. This way, everything is the same. I know everything is the same, and my mind is in peace.
That's super interesting. I find that very, very interesting because I think an awful lot of people will put more time into their heroes, into Angron, things like that. Because I was thinking that when you started painting Angron, it was very fast for you to kind of get all these colors up, you know?
Yeah, it takes more time because the amount of details and the PC is big.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, of course.
and the bronze, for example, the bronze, there is a lot of edge highlight, a silver edge highlight. So since Angron has a lot of bronze, uh, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's just that was a little segue just to say this. But yeah, during the conversion, what was also important was the head. Uh, since the I wanted it to look like the John Blanche artwork with the really open mouth and with all the teeth, like he's not shouting, like he's screaming,
Screaming, yeah. Yeah.
uh, and like really he's a beast. The 40K model is too human, and so yeah, I've tried lots and lots of things, and thanks to my Dark Mechanicum, uh, I found some cold blood Dark Elves, and the jaw fits perfectly with a lot of sculpting. It fits perfectly if you know how to sculpt a bit.
Okay, nice. Yeah, yeah. I think it, once you sent me the picture of the jaw on, straight away I was like, brilliant. It's perfect.
That's it.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, and so I added also lots of butcher's nails, of cables, to make it more imposing. Like he has more presence. The other head was not tiny, but it didn't feel it felt out of place on the body.
It was lost, I think. Lost on the miniature.
Yeah, especially with the crown with the world eater symbol on his shoulder on his back.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a lot of tweaking, and finally the ass. Why
The most
the
important
ass?
piece. Why the ass?
It's because I didn't know how to sculpt clothes. Just it's as simple as that.
It's a good reason because it's a simple thing to sculpt, right? It's just two kind of
But once I started, oh yeah, I could do an ass. Ah, it's weird. People are gonna uh, make fun of me. Yeah, if it's an ass, it must be the best ass.
can't just be any ass.
Now, when I told you don't be perfectionist, you have to be perfectionist on this kind of thing.
You have to commit.
Uh, you have to commit to the joke. And so I started the ass. Someone told me, my roommate at the time told me, you could add a tail like the Blood Sorcerer. It's an amazing idea. Let's do that. And it looks more ridiculous now.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, just because I didn't know how to sculpt. But you never know. Like I said, it's the first step. Um, I learned a lot on the miniature uh, to sculpt muscles on the arms and the back because the wings and the repositioned arm didn't fit. So you have to sculpt it.
Yeah, you have to adapt to these things. Yeah, but it came out
And
perfectly. I think it
yeah,
was the
but
result was brilliant.
it's an amazing way to learn. Uh, you want this mini to look like whatever you want. So it just it's work, and you sometimes you don't know what to do. But even if it's not perfect, uh, there's a lot of armor with the grim dark style. You can get away with a lot of things. The important thing is to try to learn something out of this project.
Awesome, and I imagine you learned quite a bit, right? You learned sculpting, reposing, all these kind of new
Yeah, I
techniques.
learned a lot. The sculpting was never my forte.
Mm,
Uh, it's uh, it's radically different than painting, of course.
it is, yeah.
But starting with a few things on my mechanicum and progressing here with the muscles and the face, adding various tools to help me. Just you add stuff every time you want to learn something new. Um, I didn't start sculpting right now on Angron. I did try before. I did try it before, and it's thanks to the previous attempts and my previous experience with green stuff that I managed to do what I wanted on Angron.
Brilliant. And that ties back to what we spoke about earlier about it's not going
Exactly.
to be perfect the first time, but because you did those first times, you were able to do what you did with Angron. And I think everyone can agree the miniature came out fantastic. But you are known for more
Thank
than
you.
just Angron, Yale. You have many other miniatures, in fact. So
I
Angron
have
has to be one of your favorites, right? But do you have any other favorites?
no, it. I hate it.
Really? Angron's not your favorite?
No, because of the hobby burnout,
Yeah,
like I
okay.
told you, and because it took me 2 months and I really didn't want to finish it, uh, and it managed to uh, be quite popular on the internet, and I think that's why I kinda kinda hate it.
Yeah,
It's cool. It's finished now, and I don't want to touch it ever.
yeah. I can understand that to a point. I have some of my projects are the same as this. That sometimes things become bigger than they actually are, and yeah, it doesn't always necessarily work out perfectly. But personally, I love him. I love him, and I love his ass.
I love this as too. It's the best part of the miniature.
Well, the face for me is brilliant because you resculpted it the way that I want my Angron to look. So I appreciate that you led the way so that I can take inspiration later.
It's all for the greater good.
Exactly. So, what other miniatures, maybe that you don't hate, but have you worked on anything, completed anything before that you are particularly proud of or that has really stood out amongst your collection?
There are two miniatures, I think. One is a part of my Dark Mechanicum project, and it's uh, it's stupid. So the Dark Mechanicum, maybe we'll talk about it later, but there is a lot and a lot of conversions. It's all conversion, and so I have a cavalry unit made with the Deskorp of Krieg Death Rider. The thing is that for an event, I needed 6 member, and I didn't had all the tools to make it just like the other. And since it's a really thematic army with a deep lore. I wanted something to cool to make the unit pop. So what's better than a great banner? And the miniature, I love it not because of the free end of the banner, but because of the head of the horse.
I've seen
I
this
don't
one,
have
yeah.
it in front of me, but I love it so much. So, do you see the Death Rider uh, heads
Yes,
on the
yeah,
horse?
yeah.
Just gas mask, and it's really basic. I bought a mini from a friend from a Joan of Arc game, I think, and it's the I don't know how to say it. It's the lamb from the biblical mythology
Oh, okay.
with too much legs and too much eyes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to use this mini, but I didn't know for what. And I had the missing parts of the Death Rider head. And so when I searched in my big box, I found this mini, and I was like, the head, this is perfect.
It's
I hope
finally
you
time.
share the picture because it looks so dumb. It's just a lump head on a horse body with a big um, double. How do you say when
Double
with
chin?
double chin with a
Yeah.
weird double chin and too many eyes for its own good.
Yeah. Amazing.
And
Fantastic.
it's not my favorite mini because of the story of the painting or the minis itself. It's just because I had so much fun converting it. Every time I looked at it, I was like,
Yeah. I
how
think
silly.
sometimes for people though, these miniatures can often be their favorites, you know, like these kind of sillier or funny miniatures. Really, like it's just so much fun to work on something comedic for a change.
Yeah, and the unit with the great banner looks great.
Yeah, it does. I've seen some images that you sent me before of these, and really fantastic.
It makes the unit the army look like an army.
Mm.
Uh, with the old uh, Warhammer Fantasy, every unit uh, it has its banner and its champion, etc.
Yeah, banners are important.
Yeah, I wanted this kind of look for this army.
Awesome, 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 awesome. And you have one more
And
miniature, you said.
yes, uh, the goat, the best character in history, Pedro Cantor. I mean, it's there is a story here, so bear with me. It's the fall of Rick's World is the first book, the first Space Marine books I read,
Okay.
and every guy, every Crimson Fist has a Mexican name or a Spanish name.
Yeah,
It's funny the way they destroy their own base is also funny,
it's
but
pretty funny. It's with the
Pedro
servitor, right? The guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
he the missile launch, and because of the shield or something, there is um, an issue, and the missile just falls back on the base and destroys everything. And it's up to Pedro Cantor and a core group of veterans to uh, push back the orc invasion. So really cool setup. And so I bought the Pedro Cantor Mini, my first mini bought with my own money. It
mm-hmm.
was maybe 13 or 15 years ago, and it was in metal.
I remember. Yeah, I have a similar story, but go on.
When you're 10, 11, you receive the miniature and it's in metal, and you're like, cool, what to do?
What now?
What do I do? uh, Luckily, I had a friend who was into armor before I was, so he helped me a bit. But there was all the metal thing
The
on the mini.
Flash, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, still on the mini, and I started painting it, uh, primed with a brush, the old way,
Oh,
the old way.
okay.
And I started painting it with a deep blue, and that's when I had a realization that painting was painful,
Mm.
and so I just stopped.
Yeah.
Okay, I give up.
Yeah.
Years later, I tried again. Oh no, it's so painful. I hate it. Okay, I give up. And the mini stayed like that with various thick coats of painting uh, around the years as I tried to get into painting, but got rejected every time. And so, and 6 years ago, I was doing it's the whole backstory. I was doing um, fine arts. I was going to a class, and it's raining a lot. I enter in the first shop I see, and it's a Warhammer shop. And the guy tell me, "You like painting, do you?" No, I stopped Warhammer a few years ago. I hate it. I'm just here because of the rain. Cool. And so when the rain stopped, I was out with a few brushes and a box.
Of course you were. Of
And,
course.
and because I was working at the time, so I finally made the big start and started painting seriously. It's cool and all. And in 2019, I don't know if you know, but there was a big painting contest organized by Games Workshop, the Ever Chosen.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah, yeah.
And it was so big that our local game store manager told us 2 days before the deadline, hey, did you know, guys, there's a big contest happening called Ever
Wonderful.
Chosen.
Wonderful.
Really interesting. You have 2 days. Oh, shit.
Time to party.
And so I picked Pedro Cantor, and I didn't wash the mini. I painted on the fake coats I already made. Spent, well, 2 days on this mini. First of all, it was insane to have finally painted this mini, the first mini I bought, at quite a good level. And secondly, it made it into the top 100 in the world.
Wow, really? Jeez. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
And so,
That's a good
yes,
feeling.
that's why it's the story. It's the first mini,
Yeah.
and
And where it ended
uh,
up, right? Yeah, that's a great story
where it
actually.
ended. It was so cool. It was so cool that I couldn't describe it with words.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
no, that's fair.
when your heart does fireworks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a brilliant story. I really enjoyed that. Awesome. So we have the goat head. And we have Pedro Cantor. Brilliant.
They
That's
do
awesome.
look alike.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I think that probably is a good point to kind of finish up on, hearing about your favorite miniatures and the Angron project and then everything else. So before we wrap it up, Yael, Studio Guri, is there anyone you want to shout out? Anything you want to say before we finish? Or anything like that, Any
It
final
wasn't the
words?
question you sent me. Oh. uh, not really.
Where can we
Shout
find
out
you? If
to.
if people don't know,
Oh,
where can we find you?
this is really awkward. Sorry. You should have sent me a question like this.
I should. I
I should have
forgot.
planned a bit before.
No, this is supposed to be all
Oh,
live. No one ever knows the behind the scenes.
oh yeah. Yeah. If you want to find my work, you can find it on Instagram at studio.guery. Uh, that's how it's spelled in English. That's how it's pronounced in English. It's Studio Guery in French.
Oh, very nice.
Uh, and on the Red Pass Discord, sometimes I share stuff. But yeah, recently I've been working on a lot of secret projects, so it's a bit dead
A
on
bit
the
hush
social
hush.
medias.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Yael. I've really enjoyed this episode, and I hope everyone else has too. So thank you so much for sticking with us, folks. It's been another great episode of All Around the World Leaders. Thanks again to Yael, and thank you everyone for listening. So until the next one, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill, maim, burn.